Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of the Independent Speculator Interviews. This is a first time we're trying to do this from our home setting here, and we've had a great deal of success with interviews in the conference setting. People have asked for more, so here we are. We're going to try to not wait for the next conference and go ahead and give you what you've asked for. So with me today is David Terry of Blue Sky Uranium. It's no secret that I'm a big uranium bull right now. I'm very excited by the latest market action. And David's got an interesting uranium project going down there in Argentina. I almost tripped on that one. Go ahead and tell us about it, David, and we'll get into some questions.
Oh, my pleasure. The company is Blue Sky Uranium Corporation, and our flagship project is called Amarillo Grande, and it's located in the Patagonian, northern Patagonian region of Argentina. Basically, we've been working on this project since the mid-2000s, and basically what we've found is widespread uranium plus vanadium mineralization at or near surface in largely unconsolidated sand and gravel material. We issued a initial resource estimate on the Havana uranium vanadium deposit in this past March, which contained just under 20 million pounds of U3O8 and approximately 10 million pounds of vanadium or V2O5. And we're currently in the process of working on the detailed metallurgical aspects of the project, and are aiming to have a preliminary economic assessment completed later in the year.
Okay, that's a great overview, David. Thanks for that. So when I first heard about this story, I thought, well, it's kind of low grade. So why don't you talk me through that? Why should investors to have a look at what you're doing, given that the grade isn't anywhere near, say, McArthur River? One of the highest grade uranium mines in the world was just shut down. So why look at your low grade project?
Well, that's a question we get a lot, and it's a very good question, obviously. Um, what the real interesting thing about what we found, as and I said before, it's in unconsolidated sands and gravels at surface. The average grade of the resource is about 360 ppm U3O8, and so that's just under a sort of a pound per ton, if you want to think about it that way. So a pound of uranium these days is about $26 or so US dollars, and so we've got a little bit less than a pound per ton of sort of value in the rock, but it's unconsolidated sand and gravel at surface. And the approach that we've been taking on the processing side, and this is what the work we're doing right now is aimed towards demonstrating, is we found that you can take that in situ material and basically run it through a screen with water and sometimes gentle scrubbing, and basically eject all of the unmineralized coarser material and end up with a higher grade, lower mass concentrate. And we've been able to show in the previous work that you can increase the grade of that material several times, and eject sometimes up to 75-80% of the original in situ material. And that has two important results. One is that for transporting from the site of extraction to a hydromet plant, you're transporting potentially much less material, and you're also putting much less material through that plant. So that's the sort of front end that we've been looking at, and then the back end is we found that simple alkaline leach is quite effective in extracting both the uranium and the vanadium. So we're working on that aspect of the PEA, and that's really going to be we've already got the resource, so that's going to be the fundamental thing that determines the economics going forward.
Understood. So for the non-technical people out there, the key words you said is unconsolidated sand and gravel. Basically, what you're saying is you don't have to build a big underground mine and tunnel down into the earth to find the stuff somewhere in the depths. Nor even as a conventional open pit project, you don't have to do a lot of blasting of hard rock to get the uranium out. It's sitting there in busted up rock already at surface. That's what you're saying?
That's basically it. Yeah, this would be free digging material that wouldn't involve blasting or anything like that. And the topography in the area is very very flat. So it would be extremely low or non-existent in terms of the amount of material you'd have to remove to extract the mineralization.
Low strip ratio. All right, so that's really interesting, but it's pretty unusual. Is there anybody else that has done something like this at another uranium mine in the world?
Well, in terms of genetic models of uranium deposits, we are finding that our style of mineralization kind of is a hybrid between what's known as superficial style deposits, and the most well-known example of that would be Langer Heinrich in Namibia, and it's very similar material at surface. Widespread controlled with old paleo channels or riverbeds. Um, their their ore is harder than the mineralization that we have. It's called a calcrete type of host rock, but it is similar in terms of it's the way it's formed. The other deposit type that we have similarities with is sandstone hosted or roll front style deposits, and those are well known in the United States. The Kazakhstan deposits fall into that category. So ours is kind of a hybrid between those two types of deposit, but the mineralization that we have is not unique. It is mined in both of those types of deposits, and so it's nothing new. And the types of processing that we're investigating with this metallurgical test work, none of that is unique or new either.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. You know, Langer Heinrich is shut down now or shutting down, so a little bit nervous making as a comparison. But if their mineralization is, more set up, when you put the word crete in there, it suggests that it would take a lot more work to get it out. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly it involves more sort of drilling and blasting, I guess, in terms of the mining of that deposit. Yes.
Well, that's also the good news for exploration is that you're not actually having to mine right now at today's prices. If we're bulls, we hope they'll go up. But it's good to have something that can work at a foreseeable range of prices. So it's interesting to hear those comparisons. You mentioned that the simple alkaline leach worked well for both the uranium and the vanadium. Vanadium, of course, is the other metal that's up this year, so it's interesting to see that you've got both of those in your mix there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the vanadium recovery? I mean, usually you really have to optimize for one metal or the other when you have two. Are you really going to get that much vanadium out of this? Or is it, just going to be an interesting sideline or major credit? Can you give us some color on that?
That's a good question. The initial test work that we've put out in press releases has shown that the uranium recovery that we've got through alkaline leach from the test work out of Anna so far is in the mid to high 90s. Initial results for vanadium were around 60% recovery. But we haven't done anything to try to optimize that at all. So that's something we're looking at quite carefully. Obviously, when we first started discovering this type of mineralization in the Amarillo Grande project, vanadium was just several dollars a pound. And now, obviously, with what's happened over the last year, it's become potentially a very significant credit. And so we're working right now on investigating the mineralogy of the vanadium minerals and how we might increase recovery of them.
Well, that's a very responsible answer. I congratulate you for not changing the name of the company to Blue Sky Uranium and Vanadium off the bat there. It's good that you're researching it. Will the new metallurgical results be out on time to be included in the PEA you're working on? Will you be able to say more?
Well, yeah, I mean the work we're doing right now will basically form one of the main pillars of the PEA. So yes, the answer is certainly yes on that.
Okay, very good. And that's going to be out by the end of the year, we hope. That's a big deliverable going forward.
Yeah, I mean we've said this numerous times that we're aiming for the end of the year, and really the timing will be dictated by how long the metallurgy takes to go through, and so that's really the determining factor on when exactly that will be. But our target is around the end of the year.
Okay, and you're fully funded to do all of this work? You have enough money in the bank to cover the bills?
Yeah, we've raised enough money that we'll be able to get through the PEA, and we've actually just been carrying out a small drill program around the margins of the Havana deposit as well. So we'll be getting results back from that over the coming weeks and put that out as well.
Ah, well, that's interesting to know. So, drill results pending, and presumably, if they significantly expand the deposit, that'll be included in an updated resource that will be included in the PEA, or is there not enough time to do that?
That's possible. We're going to evaluate the results first, but certainly it could result in an updated resource at the same time.
So, if it's marginal, you may just go ahead with what you have, but if there's a significant expansion, then it might be worth, going back to the drawing board on a couple things to include the new results.
Correct.
Okay, very good. All right, well then the next question that I have to ask that I'm sure that any investor out there is going to want to know about is the Argentina risk. Argentina has been in the headlines in an unfortunate way lately, more crisis news. Very sad. It was great to see the government there sort of take a right turn and away from populist leftist economy destroying policies. But the medicine has been harsh, and the economy is hurting, and there's a great deal of unrest. How does that affect your company, and is it safe for investors to invest in Argentina plays?
Well, again, that's a topical question that we're getting. I've been working in Argentina since the mid '90s, and so I've been through a couple of these ups and downs and currency crises. Argentina is it's a safe country to visit and to work in. The mining industry is regulated provincially, and so some provinces are better than others, I would say. Rio Negro, where we're working, is one of the pro mining and very positive provinces to work in, and we've got good relationships with the local government in Rio Negro. In terms of the currency situation, I mean, obviously it's very troubling and difficult for the people who live there, and the return to some export or export type levies is not good, but it is forecast to be just for a short term. I think the government has come out and said that they're very supportive of the mining industry. They want to attract people to invest in the country. So we see it as something that you've got to live through these periods, but Argentina is a country with huge mineral potential, and I think that over the long run we're going to see the benefits from this.
It occurs to me that increased export levies could actually be offset by a cheaper peso, and it could actually wash out in the end. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, the operating costs in terms of labor and some construction and that sort of thing have been decreasing with the peso.
Right. And I'm aware that nationally Argentina is, broadly speaking, pro-nuclear. They've built nuclear power plants. They have nuclear research. Some, I understand, even in the province that you're operating in. But still, uranium is such a scare word to such people. It is radioactive. Can you tell us about the locals and their perception of you digging up uranium in their backyard? Is that really okay with them?
Well, our experience with dealing with the locals, I mean, we never are hiding the fact that we're exploring for uranium. I think most of the people that we deal with are certainly well aware of the nuclear industry, and as you said, I mean, this province has got a nuclear reactor in the western part of the province. It's also got a upgrading facility. Very sparsely populated, the area that we're exploring in, and the local stakeholders have been very supportive. So, I wouldn't say that there would be no opposition to uranium mining. There is going to be opposition wherever you go, but you have to deal with it and be straight with people and work out a win-win situation for them.
again, you get kudos and credit for a fair answer there and admitting that there can be problems. I mean, really, mining is a not in my backyard anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And if somebody tells you, sure, no problem, you know that they're not being quite straight up with you. But I also suppose that it's different if your villagers and the gringos are coming to take your gold out of the ground. Whereas if you're coming to take their uranium out of the ground, maybe they're just as happy to have you wash up the rocks and get rid of the uranium.
Well, yeah, that's certainly what we're aiming for, is to be able to basically extract or remove all the uranium as much as possible, and vanadium, and then basically return unmineralized material back to where it came from. So in a way that would be cleaning up.
Okie doke, David. Well, thank you very much for your time today. It's very interesting. We'll be watching the story closely.
Thank you very much.